When military whistleblowers come forward about UAPs, they usually describe craft in the sky, objects tracked on radar, witnessed from cockpits, captured on infrared. But what Yoshua Shelton witnessed at a Nevada nuclear weapons facility is different. He didn't just see UFO-shaped craft. He saw entities, humanoid shadow figures moving through restricted zones at impossible speeds, beings that appeared on thermal imaging and then vanished within seconds. And he isn't alone. After decades of silence, multiple security personnel from different military installations are suddenly coming forward with nearly identical stories about UFOs being seen over bases. Dylan Borland, Daniel Gockerell, Roderick Castle, and now Yoshua Shelton. Is this courage, or is this something else entirely? As always, I'm here to report the information without bias, and you can decide what to believe. You can find the sources in my detailed articles at ufonews.co, along with in the description box below. Hey ufologers, I'm Cristina Gomez, and welcome to this episode of UFO News Updates. We're examining the testimony of Yoshua Shelton, who spent 6 years guarding thermonuclear weapons in the Nevada desert. What he witnessed between 2002 and 2008 involves not just craft, but entities, shadow beings that demonstrate intelligent behavior, react to security responses, and disappear without explanation. And the implications for national security are staggering. According to research compiled by Robert Hastings for his book UFOs and Nukes, more than 150 former military personnel have reported anomalous incidents at nuclear weapons sites. But for years, these testimonies trickled out slowly, often decades after the fact.
I think that it's time we start looking for a solution ourselves and stop expecting the government to provide one. And I think that the very first step to take in that direction is to reshape the cultural narrative. I know plenty of guys who can corroborate everything that I've said, but they're too scared to come forward. They're scared for their careers, and they're just scared of ridicule culture.
In recent months, multiple former security personnel have gone public with similar accounts, and the consequences they faced raise serious questions. Dylan Borland, who was the recent witness for the UFO congressional hearing, discussed his triangular UFO sighting publicly and lost both his security clearance and his job shortly afterward. Daniel Gockerell provided testimony about observing what appeared to be repeated testing of a triangular craft at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. Roderick Castle reported being held at gunpoint after witnessing a black triangle in the California desert, and claims he was subsequently forced to receive an anthrax booster shot under questionable circumstances. So the question is, why now? Why are multiple witnesses suddenly willing to tell these stories to the public? According to Americans for Safe Aerospace, the organization founded by former Navy pilot Ryan Graves, there has been a cultural shift. The stigma that once silenced military witnesses is beginning to crack. Graves himself has stated that pilots and other personnel are increasingly willing to file reports because they finally feel like they're being taken seriously. As for Mr. Shelton, he served with the 99th Security Support Squadron from April of 2002 to April of 2008, assigned to Area 2, the Nevada National Security Site, just 18 miles from Area 51. Area 2 is where the United States conducted 140 nuclear bomb tests between the 1950s up until 1963. And according to the Department of Energy Historical Records, it remains an active special nuclear weapons storage area where bomb components are protected by highly trained security teams. To work at this facility, Shelton had to pass a personal reliability program known as the PRP, the most rigorous psychological and background screening process in the United States military.
So the personal reliability program, the goal is to get people to work with sensitive materials who are most trustworthy, the best qualified. Basically, you have to have a pretty clean record, and you have to report anything that happens. Like, you can't get hypnotized. So we were outside Las Vegas. You can't go to a show and be hypnotized.
Per the Department of Defense directive, individuals in the PRP must demonstrate exceptional trustworthiness, emotional stability, and reliability. They undergo continuous monitoring, and even recreational hypnosis is prohibited. Over 6 years, Shelton and his fellow security personnel encountered what they described as shadow beings. Shelton mentioned that these were not ambiguous shapes or tricks of light. These were solid three-dimensional humanoid figures exhibiting intelligent reactive behavior. The most documented incident occurred in 2006 during an assault and recapture exercise. These exercises prepare security teams for scenarios where adversaries attempt to seize nuclear weapons. Shelton was the on-scene commander that night, and his assault force was preparing to breach a training bunker when an Overwatch patrol stationed several hundred meters away on elevated ground with a machine gun radioed a warning.
And a few minutes after that, another patrol comes on the radio and says, "Hey, Oscar 1, be advised, now you've got a light." It was either our 3 or our 9 o'clock, so either our left or our right. And this was alarming because it feels like we're getting hemmed in now, basically. And we look, can't see anything, can't hear anything, the dog's not indicating. Same situation, no cover, no concealment, impossible for anyone to be hiding, let alone a bright light.
These were inside the facility, inside the triple-layer perimeter fence. The desert between storage bunkers where no unauthorized personnel should exist. Initially, Shelton assumed it was part of the exercise, that other patrols have been positioned as simulated adversaries. But within seconds, the flight chief called for an exercise termination and declared a code red. A code red is the highest security alert possible, indicating an intrusion inside the facility perimeter. This was not a drill scenario. This is lethal force authorized.
From our point of view, when we got to within 15 to 10 meters of the two individuals, Whiskey 11 called over the radio and said, "Hey, they just disappeared. They just apparently just blinked out." We went to the position where they were at, and you could see on the ground that there was scuff marks from dragging, as if someone had been proned out and moving, crawling. With our handheld thermals, you could see residual body heat on the ground as well that was quickly dissipating.
Shelton's team reached the location within 3 or 4 seconds of the disappearance, but the entities were gone, completely vanished. What do you think those shadow beings were? Non-human entities? A military test with covert technology? Or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy UFO news, updates, case studies, and interviews, then you will like this channel. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this episode with those you want to keep in the know with the latest UFO news. But the shadow beings were not the only phenomena Shelton witnessed. On his very first night of duty at Area 2, before he was even fully certified, he encountered something else. He was studying at the Security Control Center when a security supervisor offered a facility tour. But what they saw was not an intruder in any conventional sense.
We drove up to the top of this hill where we could oversee a significant amount of the fence line. And as soon as we got out of the truck, it was obvious that, or the Humvee, it was obvious that something strange was going on the fence. I remember looking over to the fence line, and at the specific MSZ that the alarm had been called on, there was a bright white light that was hovering right over the third fence line, so the innermost fence line. And it appeared from our point of view to be just right over the top, right on the top of the fence. There's a sensor that runs along the top, and it appeared to be right on top of that.
Shelton describes an object approximately 3 feet in diameter, hovering over the innermost security fence. As the responding patrol vehicle approached, the object began moving, matching the vehicle's speed precisely as if intelligently monitoring the response. It followed the fence line for 1.5 miles, moving as if on rails. Then at Culvert 10, where the fence turned right, the object made a sharp left turn and departed into the desert. 3 vehicles carrying 8 armed personnel pursued it. Perhaps the most alarming incident Shelton describes involves something inside a weapon storage bunker itself. Area 2 had bunkers referred to as black world structures. When opened, regular security forces were not permitted near them. The Department of Energy brought in specialized personnel. But during normal operations, Shelton's patrol still performed integrity checks.
one night when it was my patrol that was in that area, I went to do my check of these black world structures, and I checked the lock. Lock was secure. I checked the first air vent, and they're these kind of like these. They had this big, heavy handle that you would lift up, and it would open it, and then you would just let it go, and it would clang really loudly. I checked the first one. I check the second one. I let the thing go, and it clangs really loudly. And then something from inside smashed into that door. And these are 2-ton jacks, I think is what we carried. So these were about 2 or 1-ton doors each. And there were 2 doors, and they're sunk into the ground. And something smashed into that door in response to me letting that second air vent kind of clang close. And it smashed loud enough that I jumped. Like, it scared the daylights out of me.
So you know that there is something inside a secure weapon storage area that even you are not allowed to enter.
Yes. And when I reported it, it was sort of, okay, well, what's the integrity of the doors? And we can't do anything about it.
Something was inside a secure nuclear weapons storage bunker, and no one opened the door to find out what it was. But his testimony is not isolated. Dylan Borland, Daniel Gockerell, Roderick Castle, and others are describing similar phenomena at other locations. The pattern is consistent across facilities, across time periods, and across witnesses who have never met each other. Either non-human intelligence has been monitoring American nuclear weapons for decades, or either the U.S. or a foreign adversary possesses technology so advanced that it renders our most sophisticated security measures completely obsolete. Neither possibility is reassuring. What do you think is happening here? Are multiple military witnesses suddenly speaking out because the stigma is lifting? Or is this coordinated disclosure by design? Share your theory in the comments. I'm Cristina Gomez, and that is it for today. I will see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST for another UFO news update. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the notification bell as I do daily UFO news and updates. Fresh UAP stories, government disclosures, and breaking developments land here every single day.